movies I've done for you over the past year or two seems to have involved deadwood in some form or another. And while deadwood is an integral part of a great many trees in the wild, and it's something that we see particularly on very old majestic trees, I think it's something that perhaps in bonsai gets a bad rap, probably because it's been used to distraction on a great many trees. So the tree I bought for you today has no deadwood at all. This is a small Japanese Kishu juniper, belongs to a friend of mine, and he's asked me to do some work on it and try and brighten it up a little bit. I think it's very typical of a great many trees that a lot of us have on our benches, and these types of trees just tend to sit and get a little bit ignored, sadly. So the work we're going to be doing for you today is refining this tree, and really it's just going to involve careful pruning and wiring. Wiring this tree will obviously be able to enable us to improve the shape, but it'll also help us to open up the growth so that the light can get in, and it will improve the health and the vigor of the tree as well. I'm going to be pruning a very small amount of foliage away from this plant, and when it's finished it will look considerably more refined and a lot more dynamic. If you don't like to wire, then perhaps junipers are not the best thing for you, because it's very difficult to get a juniper to grow in the way and the form that we would like. And while I would say that it's not impossible, it certainly is going to take more years than most of us would be prepared to commit, particularly to a tree like this. So today I'm going to be showing you how to refine a little tree like this, and as I say, in doing so it will improve the health and the future growth of this plant. Because of the way these little junipers grow, and I think a lot of people don't really understand how to work them, they tend to end up looking like this, which is really quite a dull, boring and uninteresting little tree. It is by and large just kind of a lollipop of foliage on a stick. So with the careful work that we're going to be doing today, we're going to be able to open some spaces in this. We're going to be able to refine and define the foliage pads and improve the branch structure underneath those pads. In doing so, I think we'll be able to make this into a much more interesting and dynamic looking little bonsai. The first thing to do with this tree is to begin to clean the foliage, and as you can see with this branch here, we've got one branch that then forks into two, and you can see we've got these nice little pom-poms of foliage on the end, which are exactly what we need, but we've also got one or two weaker shoots back inside, something like this, and you can see there are just 4 little shoots on that. That's very weak because it's been shaded out by the foliage on the front. So the first thing we have to do is go and remove all that, so that gives us lots of nice little clean branches with these little pom-poms of foliage on the end. Some places you see here we've got lots of little weak shoots that are never going to amount to much at all. This one you can see is much more loose and open than this one on the end here, because this has been shaded out from the sunlight by the foliage above it. It's very easy to tell the weaker parts because the colour is generally not as green, it's not as bright, and also the buds are not as tightly clustered as you find on a position like this. So the first thing to do is to strip all that weak foliage out of this tree. Now finished removing most of the weak foliage from this tree, and so now what I have to do is remove the strong parts. What we have here is a small shoot or a small twig with a little ball of foliage on the end, and generally what we have to do with those is go in and take the middle out. So you can see this one here, it's made a little cone shape, so we just go inside with the scissors, find a little fork, and then just nip
the ends out of that, and you can see what that's done is opened that up to allow the light to get inside it. So now all I need to do is go over all of this and remove all of these strong growing tips. That helps to balance the vigour of the trees so we don't have strong parts and weak parts. So what we're doing here is removing the weak foliage from inside and the very strong foliage from the ends, and that helps to balance the vigour, and it will also begin to encourage some back budding back down in these forks over the coming growing season.
Now finished thinning this tree ready for wiring, and as you can see from this pile here, this is everything I've removed. And it's important with junipers, particularly growing in the UK and cooler climates that are similar, that you don't remove too much. My recommendation is that you should never remove more than 20% of the foliage from a juniper at any one time. If you do, you severely weaken the tree, and at the same time you will encourage it to start to produce juvenile foliage, which then takes some time to get that back under control. So never removing more than 20% from a juniper like this is a very good idea.